following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Hey, yo, Trevor. What do you do to alleviate some frustration, okay? Because a lot of us be mad these days.
Oh, I think you know.
Oh.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, one loss, brush it off, and tune into this episode of Locked On Canucks. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it's your Canucks every damn day, even when Kyle is as sick as a dog. I wonder who's having a worse day today, Kyle Bhawan or Elias Pettersson. It's probably Elias Pettersson. But again, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe or follow us. Leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us out a lot, okay? And we want to be here forever, man, talking to your Canucks every day. Before we get into the episode, we also got to shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. I want to know, when are the playoffs going to get started for Elias Pettersson? Because last night, as we've alluded to in the title, might have been a rock bottom for EP40, the alien himself, who does look like he's kind of on another planet right now, and not in a good way. Let's talk about what was, again, maybe rock bottom of Elias Pettersson's tenure in Vancouver last night. Nowhere to go but up, right?
Yeah.
We'll touch on that. Also, we'll break down what was a frustrating evening. Should Canuck fans be worried, or should they just, brush off that frustration, move on to the next one? Because I think there was some good and bad in last night's game. We'll break it all down. We'll also get into DeSmith and your comments as well. All that and more. But before we do that, let me introduce my co-host. I can't believe he's actually here, man. Doing this from bed. Kyle Bhawan, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm pretty sick right now. Nose is stuffed up. The throat is feeling a lot better. But that fever is there slightly, man. But we got work to do. We got people to talk to. We got people to calm down. And we got to decipher the situation, man. What is up with Elias Pettersson? And you brought it up earlier, right? Rock bottom. He's at rock bottom. There's nowhere to go but up. Yo, I'm sorry. It's the playoffs. There's nowhere to go but the stars. You better get a jetpack, okay? Pettersson, go buy a jetpack right now. You have $11.6 million. Buy a jetpack, okay? Because I'll be honest, and you know me, I'm the biggest Elias Pettersson fan. You know the deal. I've been that guy for a long time. He is the reason we lost last night. For real. Dude, I'm sorry. Thatcher Demko, out. Star players have to step up. What does Elias Pettersson do? He doesn't want it. Passes up a golden opportunity with an empty net. Try to saucer a pass over to Garland through 4 sticks or 3 sticks. What are you doing? You don't have confidence. Then he misses an empty net. Boom, bam, to end the first period. What's going on? And then what happens in the second? He's lazy. He's not confident. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I'll push back on that a little bit there, Kyle, because I think you mentioned that, he doesn't want it. I believe Elias Pettersson wants it. He probably wants this to go well more than anybody right now.
No, what I mean by that is he doesn't want the puck on his stick. He doesn't want.
Yes.
He doesn't that guy. And it's, bro,
Yeah.
We paid you $11.6 million. You got to be the guy. And if you don't have the confidence, of course you don't want to be the guy. So that's what I'm kind of think, like, what's going on? And this kind of brings me back to your point, Trevor. And you brought this up a long time ago. Maybe you had the scoop, but then you had Rick Tocchet bring up this whole video game addiction, right? Quote unquote. I'm paraphrasing. I'm emotional. I'm sick. But you know how you're talking about how, when you spend time at the rink, Pettersson's on his phone a lot. I hope that he's he's not absorbing all the noise. I hope he's watching other things, because that's an area where a player, especially at his age, especially in Vancouver, can get distracted. Okay. He needs to remember that the fans don't know ish. We don't know ish. We're not hockey players. We want to be pro hockey players, okay? Don't listen to us. Cry and complain. Just be the guy. You just got to be the guy. And this team needs this team needs Pettersson to be that guy, especially with Demko out week to week. Okay, we should have that in the title too. Thatcher Demko out week to week, according to Rick Tocchet. Pettersson has to take over.
Yeah, and last time Thatcher Demko was out week to week, he was out for 6 weeks. So that was some really tough news last night for Canuck fans.
Yeah.
I think the insiders had kind of alluded to it after we dropped our reaction episode yesterday to the injury. But in terms of Elias Pettersson, Kyle, I think you mentioned it, not wanting the puck on his stick. He doesn't want to shoot right now. That to me is the biggest problem. And let me read this quote from Tocchet last night that I chucked in my post game piece. And I kind of teased it in the thumbnail for the YouTube episode as well. Tocchet said, quote, "Petey is a young kid, and this is his first taste of pressure. This is good for him. He's got to learn. He's got to dust himself off and be ready for game 3. Again, we're talking about game 2 right now, right? I think that's a small sliver of solace that Canuck fans could take in this right now, is that we're talking about game 2. We're not talking about game 5. The Canucks are not on the brink of elimination. We're talking about game 2. The series is tied 1-1. It ain't the end of the world yet. The world is not falling. So Tocchet again, kind of protecting Petey a bit during his post-game presser last night. But he did say this: he's got to shoot the puck more, and he's got to be decisive. Because this, to me, is the biggest problem with Patterson right now.
Mm-hmm.
We all know he's lacking confidence. I went through that game last night, and if I was any more anal, I probably would have taken notes on every time Patterson touched the puck. But I was making mental notes that, when he touches the puck, is he making a good play or a bad play? And more often than not, it was either a safe play or a bad play. He had a couple of good passes on the power play. Obviously, that tip goes off the post. Maybe it's a different story if that goes in. But it's just the margins are so small right now. Every Dares know, we said it on the show before. The margins are so small, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You can't be bobbling the puck on your stick and being indecisive. Yeah. You got to trust yourself, trust your instincts. And unfortunately, Pettersson doesn't trust himself right now, I don't think. And again, I don't know what the tonic is. I don't know if it's new line mates. Again, when he was with the Lotto line last night in the third period, the line was creating. They just couldn't score. But the line right now with Höglander and Mikheyev, I think with Pettersson all season long, we talked about the revolving door of line mates. And I think later in the season, Höglander was elevating Pettersson a bit. But right now, no one's going on that line. Mikheyev's not going. Lafferty wasn't going to game 1. Pettersson wasn't going. That's a problem right now. And last night, a game where the Canucks absolutely dominated possession, that line of Patterson, Mikheyev, and Höglander was not good.
Yeah. No, that's a good note that you just made right there. Like, you talk about the possession numbers that the Canucks had last night prior to the 2-minute mark of the third period, when there's 2 minutes left in the game. The Canucks were doubling the Nashville Predators in possession time. You know what I'm saying? And you just made the point that line wasn't good / didn't contribute to the possession time, which is crazy because Pettersson's on that line. And you can talk about Höglander all you want. You can talk about Mikheyev. You can talk about Lafferty. Heck, you can talk about the power play too, bro. You know how it is. What's that term? You're a product of your environment. You're only as good as the people around you. It matters in sports so much more. That quote. When Höglander sees that Pettersson is not confident, what does that do to him? It puts a lot of pressure on him. And Höglander's ceiling is not, especially now, able to handle the amount of pressure needed in a playoff game, in a tight series where you have DeSmith in net and goals are of such value. Pettersson, at the end of the day, just needs to want to be that guy again. And I honestly thought at the end of the first period, when he missed his second empty netter and he hit us with a smile when the camera panned to him, I thought it was over. I thought, you know what? That's it. That's it, man. He smiled it off. I haven't seen Pettersson smile in a long time. I thought that was it. That was the worst it was going to get. And it clearly wasn't. No, honestly, man, because I'm rooting for this guy. He's one of my favorite players, and we all know what he can be when he's on his game. And right now he is literally at rock bottom. And I'll say this, though, too. And this is a silver lining. I'm not sure why we don't get Elias Pettersson quotes every game. Real talk. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't talk to the media every game and whatnot. But yesterday he did. And I think Farhan had a good quote. Well, Patterson had the quote and Farhan tweeted it out. It was something amongst the lines of, I'm my biggest critic, and that one's on me tonight. So that's a good sign, okay? That's a good sign. It really is. Rick Tocchet having his back, good sign. Kevin Beggsy made this point during the intermission, right? He turns over the puck, at least for the third goal. What does Rick Tocchet do? Leave him on the ice. Straight up. It's going to happen. He's going to find his way. It's just it's just a little scarier knowing that DeSmith is our goaltender right now. And you could beat Nashville. You could definitely beat Nashville without DeSmith, without Demko, I'm sorry. But it's a lot easier if the power play is going and Pettersson's going, and both those things suck. I was about to say the A word. I don't think I'm allowed to say suck A word there because it might be too pornographic. But you know what I'm saying? And now that kind of worries me just a bit because Nashville missed out on an opportunity last night to, I would say, capitalize on Casey DeSmith. Nashville sucked last night. They sucked last night. The only thing they did well was block shots, which is manly. You got bigger balls than me. But offensively speaking, they were so bad. And it kind of scares me knowing that we're still waiting for that Nashville game. You know what I'm saying? Where they're kind of firing on all cylinders. We're talking about, on paper, not a really sexy team, but down the stretch, a pretty good offensive team. And now the series is tied 1-1. The stakes are higher. And a lot of us, I think, are starting to believe that there is a small chance that Pettersson won't find his game in this series. And again, Demko's not here. We kind of need that to happen.
We probably do need that to happen at some point, although we've said it before, and I'm going to stand by to an extent. I think the Canucks can win without Pettersson, but when your star player is visibly struggling as much as Pettersson is, that's not a great sign for the rest of the team, you know? It's going to take a strong locker room and kind of talked about it after the game. You need the veterans to kind of keep things loose, right? He actually name checked Zadorov and said, you know, Zadorov's such a crucial guy in that room because, you know, he's a fun-loving guy. He keeps things light. He's a good influence on the younger players, and he mentioned Höglander specifically. But you know, I'll touch on one last thing with Patterson, and then we'll cut to break. Talk about the rest of this game. Talk about Nashville. Talk about Smith. You know, I saw in the comments as well that you know Talker's got a bench Petey, and I do think I do disagree with that. And I'll touch on what Kevin Beggsy said, because as a coach, you got to know what buttons to push. And I think benching Petey right now is not the button to push. It might be that way if he continues to struggle the way he is. But right now, I just don't think you're just going to crush his confidence even more by doing that. So again, we'll see what Talker does the rest of the series. I don't think it's benching PD time yet. But man, oh man, if he continues to struggle in game 3 and 4, then it could be a different story.
That was my dad.
Again,
my dad
Canucks
was yelling at I was watching the game with my dad last night, and he was just yelling at the TV screen. I think it was like some halfway through the third period, the lotto line was out, and Pettersson had the puck along the left half wall, and he just like passed it into the shin of a Nashville player, and my dad was just like, bench him. He was choked, man. But it's like, Dad, you want Pettersson to be benched? You want to see more Ilya Mikheyev? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's the thing, right? The Canucks, get Pettersson going. That's the big thing for this team right now. Let's talk about the rest of the game on the other side after we shout out our friends over at eBay Motors and FanDuel. All right, you know the deal, baby. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Hey, maybe you can even get a massage chair for your car. Kyle, that might help you out, buddy, because you need all the help you can get right now, buddy. Get that massage chair for your car on eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, every single time, baby, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions by eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, FanDuel, baby. You know the deal. It's playoff time in the NHL. It's playoff time in the NBA. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And man, oh man, the odds for last night's game, it was a close one. The Canucks were slightly favored about the Nashville Predators, but the Nashville Predators, of course, end up pulling it off, winning 4-1. They were actually the only underdog to win last night because Colorado was favored, the Rangers were favored, and Florida was favored. All those teams picked up dubs. That's okay, Canucks fans. Series is 1-1. Still some time to go. If you want to make some more bets on this series or anything else regarding NHL and NBA playoffs, make sure you go visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bhawan, sick as a mother. Beep! And that's Trevor Beggs. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab. We're not there right now. I'll be there at 1 p.m. I got a lot of work to do. But yeah, shout out to that studio. They really are the reason why we can do this show every day. They provide that West Coast bias. And without that West Coast bias, we're not here, okay? Look after your neighbors before you look after the world and see what happens, okay? Speaking of our neighbors, the Vancouver Canucks, that series is tied 1-1 with the Nashville Predators. And I know we just spent a lot of time complaining about our best player not being that guy right now, and that could cause some worry. But at the end of the day, I hope no Nashville Predators fans are watching this, but we're playing the Nashville Predators, okay? And I'm convinced that the Canucks are a lot better than this team. The Canucks, for the most part, dominated last night. They just couldn't convert, getting their shots through and whatnot. I'm not necessarily worried that we're going to lose this series, but if you're seeing some frustrations, Trevor, online and whatnot, what are some of the frustrations out there outside of the whole Pettersson thing, okay?
Well, I think the frustrations are, the Canucks had 84 shot attempts last night, and 18 of them went on net. They broke a record in terms of the playoffs for the most shots they'd had blocked in a game and the most missed shots they had in a game. And kind of talked about it last night. I'm paraphrasing because I closed up my tab because I was lagging for a second. But he basically talked about how the Canucks have been too cute with the puck. And I believe he mentioned something along the lines about when you're playing north, you got to play north because that's where you get opportunities. He said that the Canucks are going too much east-west right now. They're not being decisive with the puck, much like Patterson's not decisive with the puck. In a way, it almost seemed like Pettersson was kind of a microcosm for what was going on with the team last night, which is a bit of an belief statement for Canucks fans. But again, the Canucks were trying to be a bit too cute with the puck last night. Sure, they directed a lot of shots to the net. But even Tocchet mentioned post-game how Garland and Joshua in particular, who are two of the best north-south players on this team, they were trying to go east-west a bit last night, trying to be too cute. Just get pucks on net. And, I saw in the comments, and I've heard the commentary that, Saros has been good. I don't think Saros has been great because I don't think he's really been tested that much. That's the frustrating part for me is that you got a guy in UC Saros who, sure, he allows 1 goal on 18 shots last night. Whoop-de-frickin-do. But again, I thought he had some struggles too. Quinn Hughes, one of the shots and then the third period was, if it was slightly above the pad, it probably would have gone in because he struggled with it. I'm not seeing Saros looking confident right now. And the Canucks, again, need to exploit that by shooting the goddamn puck. I've said that time and time again. They're shooting, but they're not getting it on net. And to me, that's the most frustrating part about this team right now. Aside from one other thing, but I'll let you comment.
Well, bro, how come you weren't this frustrated when the Canucks were doing this over the last 2 months? You know what I'm saying? Like playing this like rope and dope. Let's be precise.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. I'm just getting mad at you, okay? I feel like I was talking to my inner self there. I guess what I was trying to actually say there is the writing has been on the wall for this version of the Vancouver Canucks, okay? For real. Post All-Star break, just being way too precise with what they want to do, taking that extra millisecond to be decisive. And then the next thing you know, those pro hockey players who are in front of you take that extra millisecond to get in a shooting lane, It's little things. They're not being as instinctive anymore. And that's interesting. It's I don't know what changed post All-Star break, but again, that's been kind of the reoccurring thing. Not a lot of shots, a lot of shot attempts though, and just lackluster offense. And if you want to break it down like this, the Canucks played their first 2 playoff games at home since 2015. There's been a 9-year break. Listen to that momentum. The crowd has been, honestly, if you want to talk about the Conn Smythe winner for the Vancouver Canucks right now, it's been the crowd. Straight up, even at the end of the game last night when the team loses 4-1, a bunch of people stuck around to give them a round of applause. Like, you don't see that in past versions of the Vancouver Canucks. The crowd has been nuts, but you play in front of that crowd, and through the first 2 periods of both games, you've combined for 26 shots. I'm pretty sure it's 12 and 14 in both games, or 14 and 12 or something. It's a pretty pathetic number, to be honest. It really is. And then you break it down a step further and you look at that Lindholm goal. You look at that Zadorov goal. It's like, dude, What are you guys doing? Why are you guys trying to be so perfect with it, man? Just get it on net. But at the same time, I'll bring this point up, and I want to see what the comments have to say about this, okay? Isn't this what we get? Isn't this what Tocchet gets too for putting his lines in a blender for 2 straight months? Straight up. And then he uses the end of the season not to put his lines in cement. What he does is go into game 82, put out a lineup featuring some of your notable players. Well, not featuring some of your notable players, right? Miller doesn't play, Besser doesn't play, Ian Cole doesn't play, and Philip Rona doesn't play. But at the same time, we did not see a line of Sam Lafferty, Niels Höglander, and Elias Pettersson. And what happened in game 1? We saw that line. It makes no sense. So this team is lacking chemistry. It really is. And it makes me want to bring up this comment. I got my sunglasses on. Kind of hard for me to say this, but it's right here. Okay, I got it right here. This comment from Gigatronic. Why did they call you Gigatronic? I want to know that. Are you a gigolo? Who knows? But he's saying that we should put the Lauder line back together and we should put Bluger back with Garland and Joshua, a.k.a.
So he's actually saying, you just the way it was phrased, it looks like he's saying put PD with Miller, put Besser with Lindholm, and put the third line back together. So, I'll touch on that quickly because to me, it just goes back to Patterson, right? Because True. I think 2 of the lines on this team look great right now. Suter, Miller, and Besser, they're buzzing, okay?
True.
Suter had an open net last night, right? And we talked about the frustrating things from last night. Look, Tocchet mentioned it, that they had 6 glorious chances. And if they scored on 3 of them, they win that game, right? And True. I pointed out 4 of them in my post-game recap. I mean, Suter misses the open net. Dakota Josh with the post. Had a quasi-open net in the third period. Patterson hits the post. Patterson misses the open net. Besser in front as well. I mean, there were some really, really strong chances to win last night. Again, frustrating part, not enough shots on net, but they had those grade A chances that they just didn't capitalize on. And it wasn't so much Saros making a great play. It was just the Canucks kind of whiffing on it, to be honest with you. So, going back to chemistry, again, I think it's hard to find balance in the lineup to an extent because they almost need another winger. They almost need another winger because you start putting Pettersson with Miller and Besser, or you move Lindholm off that third line. The balance of the team does feel like it might be off.
I would move Lindholm to the second line and put Bluger in the third line. I would give. I know it's taking you off your 3-line game plan, right? Your 3-line blueprint, your big 3 centers down the middle, but you're playing the Nashville Predators. How about we just wake up Elias Pettersson and not give this guy Ilya Mikheyev? He's not going to find his game by himself. He needs some help right now. Elias Pettersson is playing with the rookie playoff player, Niels Höglander, and a brick. He is. So move Lindholm up, put Bluger with Joshua and Garland. You know what you're getting with those guys. You still match up fairly well because Bluger's a pretty good player. I know you saw a good performance from the 4th line last night, but I'm not favoring the 4th line over getting Pettersson going. I really am not. At the end of the day, we need to get that guy going. Let's say they make that change, right? Lindholm goes up to Pettersson. There's some chemistry there. Bluger is doing his thing with Garland and Joshua. We win this series. Pettersson finds his game because he's playing with better players. You go into Edmonton or LA, then maybe you can move the lines back around and play a different strategy. But you're facing the Nashville Predators without Thatcher Demko. It's really important to get Pettersson going.
Yeah, it's the most important thing that the Canucks can do right now. Let's table the rest, wrap up on the other side, get into some comments, maybe a little DeSmith talk, or we'll save some of that because, Kyle, we got to do 2 more episodes before the Canucks play their next game on Friday afternoon. So let's shout out a couple sponsors, wrap up with some comments. On the other side, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Let's shout out our friends over at Sleeper and Indeed. All right, Canucks fans, it's playoff time, baby. And I know that you are praying that the Canucks can figure it out and get some big wins. If you want to get some other big wins, make sure you go play some daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my #1 choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you could win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like JT Miller, Brock Besser, or Quinn Hughes will record more or less than the Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleepers terms and use for details and locational availability. All right. No deal. When you're drafting a fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team as well? If you're building your talented roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. And do you hate waiting? Who doesn't, okay? We're all waiting for Elias Pettersson to break out, and it's frustrating, okay? And, you don't have to wait on Indeed, though, because U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match on Indeed are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in a search, according to that U.S. Indeed data. And Indeed, they do the hard work for you, so you can sit back, relax, and scratch your sack. Sponsor a job, and we'll match you with the quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description right when you post. With Indeed, you can start hiring fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon and start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, we back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My name's Kyle Bhawan. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Speaking of the technical difficulties, I know I sound nasally. I don't got a microphone, but we have to do this, man. I need to get to sleep. I need to get some rest, and I want it to be with the people, okay? Trevor, I'm really happy that you're with me today because you're right, man. You're right. You know what? Maybe the Canucks have to change your lines because in reality, the Canucks dominated yesterday with those lines outside the Patterson line, and we missed a ton of empty nets. We'll be fine. Okay, we'll be fine with our forward lines. That being said, will we be fine with Casey DeSmith? It's hard to say because we barely saw this guy play last night. Literally. He had 9 saves. Well, okay, before he got pulled with 2 minutes left, he let 3 goals in on 12 shots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it kind of scares me that for a guy that already doesn't play a lot, him not facing rubber and getting used to the puck is still in the air going into a pretty important game 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? What have we seen time and time again in this market over the past few years? It's like the Canucks' poorest defense gets the goalie into the game a bit, right? It's a different environment nowadays because the Canucks really don't allow a lot. And last night, again, 12 shots allowed in the first 58 minutes of the game, and Casey Smith had 9 saves. Look, I thought
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that is one of the
DeSmith looked a little nervous to me, to be honest with you. And kudos to the crowd for having the "Let's Go Casey" chant. It obviously kind of backfired a bit. I don't know if Casey DeSmith was, maybe he was feeling the jitters. I thought every time he touched the puck, I thought he gave up too many rebounds on the shots that were on net last night. Not that he could do on the Forsberg goal. The Beauvillier goal is a tough one. It didn't look great, but it's a tough one if you can't track the puck. I thought again on the third goal that Sissons scored, bad turnover by Patterson for sure, but DeSmith gives up a big rebound right into the slot. So wasn't a great performance from him. Look, I'm still a believer in Casey DeSmith. He's not Thatcher Demko, but the guy's a good goaltender. He can get it done. Again, but I think there is a bit of a ticking time bomb here in a sense that if he has another, subpar game 3, I think we could see Shelovs, which is crazy to think about.
Holy man. Unreal, man. Unreal how we're only going into game 3 and we already have a Thatcher Demko week-to-week injury and we're stressing about our goaltending situation. It's not only life in the playoffs, it's life as a Canucks fan. This all being said, I still think we're so well equipped to beat Nashville. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how you can have me spend a couple minutes here decipher or talking about Casey DeSmith's game when he kind of didn't play. I hope that he got his game 1 jitters out of the way. And on that note, I just gave the Conn Smythe so far to the Canucks fans. I really did. I'm really liking their effort. Like, they're loud. They're bringing a new aura to Rogers Arena. I've never heard them like this, unless I was hearing different things back in 2011 and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's kind of confused at the "Let's Go Casey" chants when the puck is in the defensive zone, and Casey hasn't even made a save yet. It's kind of like, when you're watching football and your team's on offense and the crowd is really loud. You probably don't want that environment when you're trying to concentrate on a small black puck in your first playoff game in a Canadian market. So the fans had something to do with that goal too, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's well, Kyle, I'm trying to think if you and I were at the game, if we would have been in on that. I don't know if I would have done that. I would have
Me
been kind of
too.
nervous to do it, to be honest with you. But it's that time of year, man. Like I got friends messaging me who I guarantee you like barely watch the Canucks throughout the year. Now they're in the playoffs and they're going to games, so you're getting more. Look, hey, I love casual fans. Tune into Locked On Canucks. Okay, you're Canucks every day. But I think when you got casual fans in the building, that same kind of etiquette, for lack of a better term, is it there?
Yeah.
You got to know when to cheer and when not to cheer. And I think, for a backup goalie playing his second career playoff game at the age of 32, I don't think I would have been chanting "Let's go Casey" in the first minute. You gave him the big cheer at the beginning of the game, which you got. But aside from that, I think you got to let it be. A couple more minutes here until we wrap up the show. Shout out to Aaron Gray. He mentions that EP40 has been looking better than Ovi in the playoffs. That's debatable, but Ovi also had another bad turnover last night that led to the Rangers' game-winning goal, shorthanded no less.
I mean, Trevor, you could also we're at the end of the show, and I hope you do get to a couple comments because I can't really see the comments. My screen's a bit laggy right now. We have to talk about the other guys outside of Pettersson too, right? Like JT Miller is playing well. I know they're getting a lot of chances, Brock Besser and company, but even Lindholm and company, it's not just all on Patterson. A Brock Besser goal would be nice too. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. It's Philip Hronek. Same thing with him. I understand it's a team effort. There's a lot of all-stars on this team. Again, the ceiling on this team is way bigger than Nashville's. Everyone's got to buckle down here and convert. And I'll say this again. I definitely think that the Vancouver Canucks, even though it'll be hard to do this, but they can beat Nashville without Pettersson being on top of his game and without Demko. I totally believe that. I do. And that's really because of the other guys on the team. So everyone's got to be accountable here.
Yeah, and to your point there, Kyle. Other guys certainly need to score. But I'm going to shout out the comment from Anthemous here. Last night felt weird. Nothing went our way, and every Nashville chance went in. I mean, Nashville had a slight push in the second period where they were outchancing the Canucks, and they scored 2 goals in short succession, and that was the game, right? Aside from that, it felt like the Canucks that were dominating possession the whole time, and Brock Besser had a great chance. JT Miller, when he was on the ice, the puck was primarily in the Nashville zone the entire game.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm going to show this comment from Ryan Hernandez. He says, Nucks are still poised to do some magic in the playoffs.
We got this.
Honestly, if they played the way they do last night and just execute a bit better in terms of getting shots and chances on net, keyword on net, the Canucks are going to be fine, especially in this series. We'll see what happens after that. I'm going to shout out one more comment here as well. This is also from Anthemous, and this is kind of a tease to one of the things I actually want to talk about tomorrow. 0 for 6 on the power play so far. If we can't get that going in this playoffs, we're in deep trouble. Let's do a bit of a deeper dive on the power play in tomorrow's episode because I think, again, it's not black and white. Obviously, they need to score, but there's some good and some bad there, so we'll break that down. Before Game 3 here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks.
Yeah, our power play sucks.
Day.
Our power play sucks, man. Again, we could have had a couple goals there that made it look a little different because Pettersson, missed empty netters. But I don't know how Rick Tocchet's like, you know what? UC Soros, one of the smallest goalies in the league. Let's put Connor Garland in front of the net. Let's have Connor Garland screen UC Soros. Okay, buddy. Okay. Why not put Lindholm there or something? Last time I checked, Lindholm did tip in 2 goals in front of the net in his first game as a Vancouver Canuck. Why not put Joshua there? I just don't like that logic of having, again, one of the smallest goaltenders in the league being screened by one of the smallest players in hockey. Something's got to give.
We had a comment as I was waiting for you in the lobby here, Kyle. Someone said, I think it was the first comment. Someone said, put Zadorov in front of the net. Let's talk about that tomorrow, though, on Locked On Canucks. Okay, your Canucks every day. I'm going to shout out one more comment. Roll Ryan says, I talked about being a contributing writer about the Canucks since 2013, since I was 7 years old. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that.
One of the most talented guys ever.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, I was writing about the Canucks before my balls dropped, but that's the way it is. Hopefully I'm writing about the Canucks and talking about the Canucks for a long time to come. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Again, it is your Canucks every day. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live YouTube show. We appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you, whether it's live, whether it's after the fact. Whenever you're tuning in, we don't care. We just appreciate you for being a part of Locked On Canucks. Kyle, shout out to you, buddy. Actually, there was another comment too from Ryan Hernandez that, I hope this flu doesn't spread through the team like this it did in that St. Louis Blues series back in 2003. Hey, the Canucks still won that series at the very least. So that's a positive sign. But Kyle, get well soon, buddy. Great performance today. And anything to say to the people before we get out of here?
No, you know what? I was passionate there. I said a couple incorrect things. Trevor Beggs was luckily there to be more rational. Again, look at the film. The Canucks over, I would say, 6 periods have been pretty damn good in 4.5 of them. You could even use the term pretty damn dominant. I know the shots on goal don't really tell that story, but if you watch the film, the Canucks are on another tier than the Nashville Predators. And let's just hope that Nashville doesn't really find that bite or doesn't smell that blood, because Casey DeSmith is in net and everything will be fine. Go Patterson, go. You got this. Stay off your phone. Go Canucks, go. Hit the like button, subscribe. Shout out to the Don't Doze Art Lab. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right, sign them up, buddy. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. That's Kyle Bhawan. Get well soon, Kyle. Get well soon, Pettersson. And we'll be back tomorrow. Someone said, when are you recording? If you're joining us live, we're aiming for 8:30 a.m. every day. Let's go, baby. That's another episode of Locked On Canucks. Take care, Canucks fans. Go Canucks, go. We got this. Peace.
We got this. We got this.